the brand new Viofo WM1 versus the Viofo A119 Mini. This video we're going to compare daytime, nighttime, going through tunnels, HDR on, WDR on, wide dynamic range and HDR off. We're going to show nighttime comparison, tunnel comparison. We got lots of video to show you. We're also going to compare all the specs of these two units, and this is the brand new WM1 that just came out from Viofo. We're going to show you how it compares to the A119 Mini. Anyways, let's go. Dashcam resolution. Both the Viofo WM1 and A119 Mini use a front Sony STARVIS 5 megapixel IMX335 image sensor. Viewing angle. The Viofo WM1 has a front viewing angle of 135 degrees, while the Viofo A119 Mini has a front 140 degree wide viewing angle. Wi-Fi capability. Both units have Wi-Fi capability, so you can download videos via the Wi-Fi app. The Viofo WM1 only supports 2 GHz Wi-Fi, while the A119 Mini has the option of 2 GHz and 5 GHz. You may wonder why you would want 5 GHz. Well, on the A119 Mini in 5 GHz Wi-Fi mode, it will allow you to download videos to your phone 3 to 4 times quicker than the WM1. High dynamic range. The WM1 does not have high dynamic range. It does have WDR, also known as wide dynamic range. Wide dynamic range processes images to ensure clear recordings in bright and dark light. This allows the dash camera to combine multiple images at different levels of brightness to create one superior image. However, the A119 Mini has high dynamic range. HDR enables the camera to deliver video with near perfect exposure in varying lighting situations. It can enhance video quality, especially when it comes to the issue of front license plate being overexposed at night. However, we're going to show you video right now of going through the tunnel in Vancouver. It will actually show you how these two react with the difference between wide dynamic range technology and HDR technology, and the tunnel test, which is something I love doing. Just, anyways, you gotta watch. Make sure you watch till the end. G sensor. The G sensor measures shock forces and locks the video recorded at the time. The settings from low to high determine the amount of force needed. Depending on your settings, you can set the dashcam up to lock the video file recordings. There's different settings for parking mode and while you are driving. SD card capacity. The Viofo WM1 supports up to a 256 gigabyte micro SD card. While the Viofo A119 Mini, I recently have seen an update on Viofo's website where it says it will now support up to a 512 gigabyte micro SD card, provided it has high endurance. GPS information. Both units have speed and location data built into the GPS antenna. You also have the option of turning these on or off, especially if you're worried that you might have a heavy foot. You may not want to have your speed data turned on. Manual recording and emergency recording button. The new WM1 has this very big button for manual recording or emergency recording. Now you may wonder, why would I even want this button? What does it even matter to me? Is my dash camera not recording while driving? A lot of people get worried when I tell them that it's got a manual recording button. Yes, your dash camera is continuously recording while you are driving. However, sometimes we see things on the road that is absolutely crazy. We'll watch somebody completely cut off another car on the road. Maybe we'll actually see another car accident. And what happens is if we actually hit, this button right here, it's actually going to take that file and save it. So it's easier to find, and it'll save it into your locked files section of your videos. What's nice about that is it's going to go beep, 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 video protected. And what it's going to end up happening is it just is easier for you to now find that video, right? The A119 Mini has the same button as well. The difference is it's just a little bit smaller, as you can see, between the two units. So some people may find it a lot easier to find that big button on the WM1. Parking mode. The Viofo WM1 and A119 Mini have 3 options for parking mode. Those 3 options are auto event detection, time lapse, or low bitrate recording. Now, auto event detection, it'll automatically record when detecting moving objects or impact while the car is parked. Time lapse, video was recorded at a low frame per second of 1, 2, 3, 5, or 10 frames per second. Low bitrate recording, you can lower the resolution to save space while recording. On the WM1, you can change these settings through the Wi-Fi app, while on the A119 Mini, you can change these settings through the LCD screen and the Wi-Fi app. Parking mode cable and low battery protection. For either the Viofo WM1 or the Viofo A119 Mini, both units need the HK4 parking mode cable in order to enable parking mode. This actually requires that you hook up constant power, ground, and an ignition source. You must use the selector switch on the cable to determine your low battery protection. It gives you an option of 11.8, 12, 12.2, or 12.4 volts for your low battery protection. Now, a lot of people wonder, what does that mean, the whole low battery protection? What it means is if your car battery in your vehicle drops below 12 volts or whatever you're setting you set it for, the dash camera will shut off to protect the battery of your car. Now, in all realism, your dash camera is not going to record 24 hours, right? The amount of current it draws, especially these units, they're only front-only units, they're probably going to last 6 hours, maybe a tad bit longer, depending on your vehicle battery. Maybe if you have a truck with a diesel battery, maybe it will last 24 hours, right? Because you got 2 big batteries under the hood. But most typical cars, you talk about Hondas, Acuras, Toyotas, they got smaller batteries. And when you're working on a lot of those vehicles, they're only going to last maybe 3 to 6 hours on average on a consistent basis. So, because the number one priority of why you want to make sure to have the parking mode cable installed correctly, and you also want to make sure that you actually set the low battery protection for 12 volts or higher, is because it's more important for you to get to work. And so you can pay the bills, pay for your house, pay for your rent, pay for your food, whatever it is that you need to do. So I always recommend setting it for 3 to 6 hours of parking mode, especially on a front camera system. That way you will most likely get a consistent 3 to 6 hours, depending on the state of your vehicle battery, on a consistent basis. Parking recording duration. Now, I know we actually just kind of talked about this with the parking mode cable and the low battery protection, so I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. So for your parking mode duration, you have a couple different options. You have 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 24, and 48 hours. And like I just said, for these 2 units, the most I would recommend putting on for parking mode is probably 6 hours on most vehicles. But what I like to tell all my clients is, how do you want to have consistent parking mode, or do you want to have it where it did 24 hours one night and then your battery starts sitting lower than normal, So then it all of a sudden starts only recording for 10 minutes or 30 minutes the following night. So think about that when you're making changes to these settings, especially if you are installing it yourself. You want to make sure to have consistency. Now, keep in mind, I'm not talking about a power cell being installed. When you have a power cell installed, you can get a consistent 24 hours of parking mode or longer, especially because these are actually front cameras. So they're drawing less current than a front and rear setup. Anyways, keep that in mind when you're making decisions on the parking recording duration. If you do have questions, definitely leave them down below. Happy to answer them and help out. Loop recording and video length recording. Viofo has flexible options of 1, 2, 3, 5, or 10-minute video length recordings. And depending on how you drive and decisions you want to make, you may decide that you want only 1-minute videos. Most of the Thinkware, iRoad, all the other dash cameras on the market, a lot of them only use a 1-minute video file, because if you ever need to submit it to an insurance company, you only can submit maybe a 20 or 30-second video tops anyways, because of the file sizes that a lot of these insurance companies will allow you to submit. So keep that in mind. Now, I have it on 10 minutes myself, but the reason why is because I'm constantly making videos. I'm constantly testing these things. It's a lot easier to edit a 10-minute video for what I'm doing all the time than it is to stitch together multiple 1-minute videos. So keep that in mind depending on what you want. I mean, in the past, over the years, I've had clients who say I go on long road trips and I'd like to have like a 5 or 10-minute video file of certain drive that I'm doing when I'm on that. So keep that in mind. The Viofo does give you the option of putting those longer loop recordings or video length recordings. And then if you hit the emergency record button or the manual record button, like I said earlier, you can actually save that full 5 or 10-minute video all in one stretch under the locked file section. Product size. The Viofo WM1 is 1.21 inches by 3.87 inches by 1.04 inches deep. The A119 Mini is 3 inches by 1.8 inches by 1.7 inches deep. File list organization. Viofo has all files, locked files, and parking files. Now, when you actually go through these three, all files is going to show you all your video files. Locked files is going to show you impacts while driving. It's also going to have your emergency recording / manual recording videos in there. Parking files is going to be the videos that record while parked. LCD screen. The Viofo WM1 has no LCD screen at all. The A119 Mini does support a 1.5-inch LCD screen, which allows you to go into the menus through the LCD screen and change settings. Voice recording. The WM1 and the A119 Mini both have the capability to record voice, and you can turn this on or off as well. Pros and cons. The Viofo WM1 Pros. Small, compact size. It has wide dynamic range. 2K resolution. It has a big button for manual recording or emergency recording usage. Cons. No LCD screen. No 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. No high dynamic range. No rear camera support. Viofo A119 Mini, the Pros. Small compact size. Has high dynamic range. 2K resolution. Has 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, so you can download videos 3 to 4 times faster. LCD screen. And 5-degree wider viewing angle than the WM1. Cons. The buttons are small and may be hard for some people to hit the correct button, especially the emergency record button while driving. The LCD screen is very small compared to like the predecessors like the A129 and the A229 that have a 2-inch and 2.4-inch screen. And the last con, no rear camera support. Final thoughts of the Viofo WM1. The WM1, I feel, is a really good low-cost camera. Now, when you're comparing it to the A119 Mini, obviously the Mini, because it has high dynamic range, as you can see from the video footage, it performs better going through tunnels. It performs a little bit better at night. However, it is just a little bit less money, and I still feel the WM1 is performing very well for the price. With a lot of dash cameras that I have played with, I've seen some ones around the same price range that really don't, perform that well. What I do like about it is just, with all the rear view mirror housings and everything like that, you can easily hook up the power cable nicely on the side and run it up right next to it. It is very nice and compact. And when you look at the A119 Mini, right next to it, both of them they're both very small. Neither one are really that bad. But I really would have wished that they would have put 5 gigahertz into the WM1. And I really wish that, they would have done high dynamic range. Because, realistically, the way I look at it, they're trying to replace the A119 V3. And when you look at the A119 V3, the A119 V3 has no Wi-Fi. So in my opinion, they should have put high dynamic range into the WM1. And that way they could have said, hey, we have one almost the same price as the V3 with high dynamic range and Wi-Fi, but no LCD. So that's the one thing I think that they should have had in. Other than that, I think it's a great unit. But that V3 has been out for 3 years now. It's been a solid unit, but no Wi-Fi. And that's where the Mini comes in. The Mini has the Wi-Fi. And plus 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, so you can download it 3 to 4 times quicker. Anyways, that's my final thoughts. Feel free to leave your thoughts down below. If you have any questions, we try and answer all of them. Sometimes we look at how are we going to answer these, and some of them we turn into videos like we did for Troy recently. We actually just built a whole video to answer his question because we have that question asked so many times. So if I don't answer your question, it might be because I'm thinking, I just need to build a video for this because that's the easiest way to actually explain it. Anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again for all your support. Cheers.